So, after an exclusive interview with motorsport.com, FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem has received backlash for comments he made about a new crackdown on Formula One drivers using swear words. Now, the FIA asked Formula One management to limit the amount of swear words shown on television and over the radio. Sulayem said that the drivers have a responsibility to monitor what they're saying, adding that they have to distinguish motorsport from rap music, where you hear the F word multiple times throughout the songs. Now, this comment really upset Lewis Hamilton, who accused Sulayem of stereotyping rappers in a racial way. However, Sulayem believes that drivers need to take children who are watching them on TV into consideration and think about how it looks for them to hear those swear words. Seemingly in response to Sulayem's interview, Max Verstappen was very cheeky in his news conference last Sunday and dropped an F-bomb. As a result, Verstappen was punished with a day of community service. Now, the three-time Formula One world champion is in disagreement with the crackdown on swear words, saying that it's normal for athletes in sport to say bad things when they're full of adrenaline, and stuff like this makes him think about how much longer he wants to stay in Formula One. Now, as a result of this as well, Max Verstappen, after swearing in the Thursday drivers' press conference, refused to say anything on the Saturday and Sunday press conferences because he might have been punished further. So he agreed to let the media talk to him outside of the press conference room, stating nothing to the official FIA broadcast at the press conference. Now, we know NASCAR has its weekly radioactive segment from each race, and drivers use swear words on the radio every single week, but they have bleeped out. People love this popular segment. Yuki Tsunoda, who's well known for his use of swear words throughout his outbursts over the radio, said he doesn't know why this is even an issue because it's a part of daily life. And he's sure people at the FIA swear too, just like them. On the other hand, Charles Leclerc believes that the FIA has more important things to focus on than swearing. The drivers are expected to have a meeting to discuss what the FIA is doing on this particular issue. The link to the drivers' reactions in the video description below is from grandprix.com. The photo taken by Mark Thompson is from Getty Images. What a load of rubbish is what I can think James Hunt would say. We've heard a lot more over this. So, Kobe, you're back with us on this bit. To start with you, what's your take on this swearing controversy?
I like to start off by giving a round of applause for Mr. Charles Leclerc here. Like, out of all the things that the FIA could be focused on, like, why are we focusing on this? Like, swearing of all things. I think most people have said swear words in their life, but I do think that there is obviously a time and place to use these swear words. Just like at the press conference there, Max was obviously, trying to give a reaction to this interview that obviously was circulating around the paddock about what Mohammed Ben Sulayem had said. So Max did that intentionally, just because he could, and that's probably not the best. I understand why Max did it, but cussing during a news conference like that with the media, that's probably not the best way to go about things. Yeah, I've seen a lot of those news conferences in Formula One. I've seen the press pass stuff with the NASCAR drivers. Also seen IndyCar drivers do their news conferences as well, and I don't hear them, using swear words, especially, dropping F-bombs like that. So that's probably not something that you want to do in that setting. But in regards, to on the radio like that, that's kind of ridiculous in my opinion. So why are we trying to put these drivers on a box and tell a professional athlete, that you cannot swear in this instance? I think Max is absolutely right when he says, that when athletes in professional sports, or you don't even have to be in professional sport. You can be an amateur sport. You could be high school sports. You can be in collegiate sports as well. When you're in your match, in your race or whatever, you're gonna be locked in, and sometimes you're just gonna say things. So I think it's very hard to try to tell an athlete, that you're not allowed to cuss over the radio. You're not allowed to use this word and that word. And like you were saying, Josh, with the radioactive segment, yeah, every single week you're going to hear a curse word, but it's bleeped out. And I think that's the best way to go about it. Just bleeping them out, and just let the people guess what they said. Is usually very easy. You can use the context clues to figure out with swear word they said, but I really don't think it's a good idea to be putting drivers in the box like this. I really want the drivers to be able to be themselves, and you hear time and time again from people that complain, and they're like, why are these drivers so vanilla? Why don't they have personality? Well, if you put in rules like this, you know, banning drivers from using swear words over the radio and whatever during the race, during practice, during qualifying, whatever, you're basically trying to create more vanilla drivers, which is exactly what most people say they do. They do not want to see. They want to see drivers be able to show their personalities, and if you put them in a box, you know, you're not going to be able to see their personalities, which, you know, be quite a shame for the sport, because I think Formula One has a lot of great personalities on the grid, and it would be a shame if, you know, some of those drivers have to try to rein it in. I mean, I don't think it's appropriate, you know, to be swearing like every other sentence or anything like that. I think that would be a problem, but if it's just like something here or there on the radio or whatever, I don't think that should be an issue at all. And if you're like dropping an F-bomb during like a news conference or anything like that, you should not be doing anything like that. But I do think there's a time and a place, but I do agree with Charles Leclerc's statement that the FIA should probably be focusing on more important things. And also Yuki Tsunoda as well, for basically saying that the people at the FIA are kind of being hypocrites there, you know, saying you shouldn't curse, and they're probably the ones who are cursing behind the scenes at the races. And Lewis Hamilton as well also brings up an excellent point about how he tried to compare it to rappers, and I understand why Lewis was very frustrated there because of how Sullivan's comments come across. And our own Jackson Lambert says, to be honest, during the presser, you know, that should probably be punished, but swearing on the radio and off air should not be punished for the reason you said, Josh. So I think me and Jackson are in agreement there. What do you think, Matt?
Got plenty to say on this. I agree with Jackson. It should have been punished, because when was the last time it happened from Max or from anybody just to slip one in there? But he did it because of the story, the MBS interview. You go back to pre-MBS, when John Todd was the FIA chief, even when Max Mosley was the FIA chief. We did not hear from them. Okay, we heard from Max. There was Max stuff. But Jean Todt, we did not hear from in a motorsport context. He was there for road safety. He wanted his Nobel Peace Prize. Didn't quite happen for him. MBS comes in, and as we've talked about over the last 12, 18 months, every couple of months there has to be a story about this guy and him getting the spoon and doing this. Absolutely unnecessary. Swearing in Formula One, not a new thing. Josh, you mentioned our good friend James Hunt used to do it live on air on BBC One on a Sunday afternoon. when Monaco, Alio comments, etc. You will have to remember that when FOM started broadcasting radio during the races, late 2000s, early teens. Just says, don't show these guys anything on Curtin Car Bush. Absolutely right. When they started broadcasting the radio, teams cottoned onto this and said to the drivers, make sure you swear, because then it won't get broadcasted. It's an obvious answer, isn't it? They don't want strategy being put out over their airwaves. So stick an S here and an F there and a whatever there, and it won't get put out. The radio is not live. It is on a delay. They will beep it, and it has been beeped. And when it comes up with the radio message box, the words are starred out. So what are we seeing or hearing that we've not seen or heard before? To do it in the press conference is different. That is live. And obviously, Max had heard this or read the story or whatever on the Thursday. I thought he'd have a little dig by throwing one in there and seeing what happened. And he's been punished for it. But then to go back to, and we haven't had it much over the last couple of years when Red Bull have been dominant, but it started to come back in this year, and it kind of started at Austria when he had the run-in with Lando. Petulant Max returns yet again. He is the world champion. This is not world champion behavior, saying no comment, I don't want to talk to you because I'll get taken out of context, etc., etc. Just don't swear. It's not difficult to not swear. You stand in front of TV cameras and TV reporters and the media most of the day. It really isn't difficult to do it. And Max can go on his stream and, you know, get run over by idiots on iRacing and unload on them. Just do it there, because that's, you know, something completely different. This is, you know, more Red Bull implosion, and it's been happening all year, and we've talked about it a lot. He is unhinged, and he cannot be contained at this moment in time with the things that he's saying and the things that he's doing. And that goes from the top. And with, you know, the whole Christian Horner thing that started in March, we've barely heard from Christian on the TV, haven't we? All season, he's not been brought up. He's not been on the pit wall for Sky. He's not been interviewed after the races. I don't think he's barely been in the team principals press conferences either, for whatever reason. The Red Bull implosion continues. They've lost another high-ranking guy today. He's going to McLaren for next season. Max, please, just stop being a 4-year-old kid. I've got two under 5. I know what they're like, and he is turning into one on a week-to-week basis, and it is absolutely boring. The pressure is ramping on Red Bull because, that wind tunnel time that they've lost, it won't affect them. It's affecting them. They are absolutely being blown away by McLaren. What was it Lando was told at the weekend? Just extend the gap to about 10, 12 seconds. That turned into 25 plus in that first stint because he just carried on, and Max had no answer for him. And then he just comes out after the race and whatever, I'm not talking to you, etc., etc. It's more Red Bull boringness. And honestly, Max, if you want to go, don't let the door hit you on the way out, because I'm sick to death of hearing your excuses about every single thing, the car, things that happen on the racetrack, this. Just go and do your iRacing thing and be done with it, because you're not World Championship caliber material in my eyes.
I don't know where to go from that, to be fair. Maybe.
Matt, maybe you should do it. Maybe you should have a mic so you do the mic drop.
I've got something better.
I'll drop my phone, but I don't want to drop it on the floor.
Do you want to go on a rant? Go on a rant. Say that again, by the way, about Max Verstappen. Go on.
I don't think this would have happened for Damon Hill. I don't think this would have happened for Alain Prost. I don't think this would have happened to Jim Clark. Senna perhaps had his moments, let's say. All right. Lewis, Jensen, wouldn't happen to him. It's just petulant, and I'm just sick and tired of
Gotta be careful. We're censored by the FIA. Anything else?
Well, the FIA can stick. You were supposed to press the button there. Thank you. I'm just so done. I'm quite thankful actually that we've now got 3.5 weeks off until COTA, because we could perhaps focus and talk about something else other than people poking the bear. And I've been poked, obviously, on this one.
Oh, it's such a giant. Honestly, I need this bleep. John, we're going to do this. I'm going to do this. When
Jackson, if I had a high-powered computer and more time on my hands, trust me, I've got a wheel. I just don't have time.
I am the same. If you want to know what that is, by the way, just type in "censor bleep" on Google, and you get a bleeper. And I'll just
Adam, I don't want that either. Honestly, he said he won't do it. He said he won't go to WEC. He said this in the summer because of the BOP, because he wants to win all the time and have the best car. Well, that's not how sports car racing works.
That's not how life works.
It's not how Red Bull works.
Of course, unless, of course, this year you're driving a Porsche in either WEC or IMSA, because they're tearing it up. Ben says, soon to be a 4-time world champion with the 3rd most wins ever isn't world champion material. No, I don't. It's a different.
Talent is.
It's a different. Talented, yes. Absolutely, no question. But just grow up, man.
It's the attitude I can't stand. It's the same as what
it's
Lewis
the holier
was.
than now. It's the holier than now Red Bullness. It got to Sebastian Vettel at times.
Yeah.
But when he went to Ferrari, the air was cleared, and he was brilliant at Aston Martin, of course, towards the end.
He was, and to be fair, if you want to talk about world champions who aren't world champion material, just look at MotoGP at the moment. I've been saying it throughout the past couple of weeks now. Pecco Bagnaia and Jorge Martin have got the best bikes that I think have ever been in MotoGP. Those Ducatis are technological science, and they are amazing. And they are winning on them because they are the fastest of the Ducati riders, but they're not the fastest on the grid. Marc Marquez is keeping up with them. And I have said it, the amount of times that Bagnaia and Martin are making rookie mistakes crashing and losing out the championship completely, week in, week out. If Martin, I think Marquez is now, 48 back, something like that?
Something like that.
He could win it. He could, in the next 6 races.
I said he would win it at the start of the season. He was my pick to win the championship. He's still in there.
And if you want to talk about Bagnaia's won 2 world championships before, could win a third. He's not world championship material. Neither's Jorge Martin. Because they're still crashes. And I know everyone's going to say, oh, Marc Marquez crashes. Marc had one big accident where even legends have crashed and damaged themselves. Marc had one big accident, and when he came back, Honda had destroyed the bike, and he would never get it back. So he was overriding the bike, trying to get it back. And now he's on a 2-year-old bike. And trust me, next year, Marc Marquez on a GP25, he's world champion no matter what. Jackson says, when you look at Palou and Newgarden and IndyCar, those are personalities that are polar opposite of Max. Exactly. And Palou...
Scott Dixon, Dario Franchitti, the same.
Yeah. And we were even questioning at some point in the season, is Palou championship material? Or he just sort of looked into it by always being consistent? But he is world championship material. We've seen some stellar drives from him. And yeah, totally agree on Max Zacci, by the way, although I will grant him the FIA swearing policy is ridiculous. Yeah, it is. But
I agree on both points on what Ben has said there.
I agree too. Max, for me, is more... This is the thing. Max is one of the greatest drivers we've ever had in Formula One. He sometimes can be one of the most loveliest blokes, but other times you just really want to punch him in the face. And Michael Schumacher was the same. I won't hear anybody say the same. Senna was the same. Prost was the same. Lauda was the same. Every legend you can say in Formula One, you've often wanted to punch him in the face. And this is just, it's ego. They get too big. And even if they just hide it and keep it off air, which Max doesn't even try to do now. And to be fair, I find it funny because if you have drivers who are swearing, you then go in here the cool down room where they swear anyway. And they broadcast it. So it's like, what's the point?
And that's been last couple of races I've noticed. They've either delayed it or have big brothered it, to use a UK term, and just turned the sound off for 5 seconds. I noticed that at Baku, especially a couple of weeks ago, they did that. And you can see them all talking, but we can't hear what they're saying. So again, and here's another point to this. And Josh, I will leave you out of this point that I'm about to make. Who watches the Thursday press conferences? I'm sorry. No, I didn't. As a rule, who watches the Thursday press conferences? Nobody.
I'm gonna have to.
And now it's going to be a thing, and we'll get to COTA in a couple of weeks. Oh, Thursday press conference, Max is in there, and then nothing will happen again.
Yeah, just they probably would be. But I do have to watch it. And a little secret that nobody else knows is the fact is that there's every time you watch it on Sky Sports F1 and it says live, it's not live because it's happened half an hour before, and I already know everything, and I'm already text people and going, oh, look at this, look at that. And it's like, nothing's ever truly live apart from the practice and qualify. The other thing, actually, the Sky F1 pre-show, the first 30 minutes isn't live. Just an update for you. It's pre-recorded. And the only bit that when it comes live is when the pit lane opens. So they're only live from when the pit lane goes green. So a little bit of a tip there for you. So everything else is pre-recorded to go into it. That's why you might have seen Ted Kravitz swearing.
Yes.
His pre-recorded link. Yeah.
By accident, didn't they?
Yeah, so it just proves because they're all pre-recorded. I get all
on
their
Friday,
intel.
wasn't it? Because I was watching practice from my sickbed.
Max just responds to every question with everything is great. Yeah, well, he's a Lego character. He's kind of he has to, otherwise his dad will leave him at a petrol station again. So it kind of goes on. So should we go into some less controversial news about all this swearing? Because I think we've sort of wrapped it up nicely as well.
Catch my breath.
Yes, Danica Patrick was spotted on the track in practice 3. It's all fine. We'll get onto that in Hots or Nots. I've got a good one this week.
Go on.
Anyone guess what the knot is this week? Come on.